If system is not able to self-regulate and self-remove it, then it causes immune system to get triggered. There is also generational trauma plus the emotional triggers. It's on a cellular level, it's imprinted. And again, parasites, they're not only in the gut, they could be everywhere. It is symbiotic relationship, so they can live on your tab, eating off of you. And I would tell them, I was like, I've done this before, and what I've seen, if you don't clear this, it usually ends up with cancer of some sort.
Welcome back to the 5R method. They say you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick, but what if the toxins draining your energy aren't just in your environment? Today, we're going to enter the second R, remove, and uncover what your body's been working overtime to get rid of. Hello, Dr. Marina.
Hello.
All right, I am so excited to dive into the second R here. When we talk about remove, what does that really mean inside the 5R method?
So firstly, we need to understand what's causing what, correct? So it's our whys, what's causing. So we talk about all different and look at all different types of toxins in the system through our life cycle. We're going through lots of stressors. So it could be virus, bacteria, parasites, it could be mold, it could be you name it. Even the emotion that's no longer serving you, it could take a role of a toxin in your system where your system doesn't work the same way anymore. So in order to regulate the body as a whole, we need to look at very specifically an ability of the system to do certain job. Can it or it's no longer able to? If we want to change somebody else's well-being, we need to understand what's causing, understand if they have mechanisms to correct it, remove it. If not, make a correction, and then aid in elimination, no matter what it is. If I have somebody who comes with autoimmune condition, we know an autoimmune condition, immune system reacts to virus, bacteria, parasite, or a toxin, again, that is in a system for a long period of time. If system is not able to regulate, self-regulate, and self-remove it, self-eliminate, then it causes immune system to get triggered. And this is when the systemic reaction will affect a certain organ, for example, for thyroid, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So by statistical analysis and by what I see, every third woman that comes either has ANA positive or she has TPO positive. So either have a lupus and so on, or she has Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So understanding, yes, could be a lot of toxins, but doing a step number one, understanding, and then improving a process of elimination of the toxins can and will change the outcome. For example, if I have somebody who has parasites, we all have them. But the question is, in what quantity? Are they in a quantity that's really affecting your system as a whole? Is it really forceful, or just a little bit where your immune system is managing them? And again, parasites, not just, they're not digestive. They're not just in digestive system. They're not only in the gut. They could be everywhere. There is no exception because they're very smart. Understanding how we can improve function of the system so we can self-regulate and suppress growth of parasites, we can give system a break. No matter what these patients are dealing with, the only way that's effective is to first address their own system and their defenses. Number one, excretory system, which is kidney, liver, lymphatic system, and skin. So these are systems of excretion. Are they able to excrete? Are we able to clean or not? So when you do blood work, very first step, I check for MTHFR gene mutation. I want to see if both genes are available and still active to work. Are they working in a way to help the system to clean up, or they do not? Once I understand which gene is affected, then I'll know how to guide this patient so we can overcome that burden. That is so, so important. So talking about virus, bacteria, parasite, and toxins, whatever else could be, I would like to address emotions as well. So emotional triggers also, if they're not addressed properly, they cause very specific reaction where they cause dysresonance in a system and they can change and affect the function of the organ itself. Think about it. When we are stressed, for example, or we are very anxious, we feel it, right? We feel it in the system. Most of the time, when people are anxious, they feel it in their gut. It's like a butterflies in there, flying in their stomach. It's very interesting. It's specific feeling. That's why when people have irritable bowel syndrome, for example, every time they're stressed, they also have diarrhea. Directly affects their digestive tract. And they're talking about emotion only. We only took one. There is also generational trauma. There are also epigenetics. Like, what do we bring into this world when we as parents have emotion and we don't address it? It affects the child. So I have a very interesting case right now. Firstly, this young gentleman came, he's 24 years old with panic disorder, all other metabolic issues, and we're working on them. And he tells me that he cannot control the anxiety and panic. So we started working in it, and I understood right away there is an emotional trigger. The question is where it's coming from. Is it his that he developed, or maybe it was passed on by his parent? While working with him, we reduced it, and you understand this threshold. It's much less, but it's still there. Then his father decided to come and join practice. He's very interested. He sees the result of his son. Wonderful. First interview, we tell them the first step. Yes, we communicate, we speak and all. Blood work needs to be done. What do you think he tells me? I hate needles. I'm so sensitive. I see needle, I'm almost ready to pass out. And my question is, when did this start? You see, at first visit, I'm trying to figure out when in his life that has became as fear. And he's like, I do not know. As long as I know myself, this is when I have. Every time I think about needles, that is this. And it's like, okay, let's go back into your childhood. What happened? Were you sick a lot of the time? Were you injected, and you didn't agree to it? He's like, I do not know. I was like, why don't you ask your mom? And then he's like, all my 3 sons that I have, they all like that. And we have no idea why they are like that. They have this fear. You see, it's so interesting. So understanding that, I know how to address it. It is very interesting because this is not serving them.
Of course not.
But it's still imprinted in the system. It's on a cellular level. It's imprinted. So how we experience stress, anxiety, and panic, anything that resembles or that episode very first time, it could be smell, it could be color, it could be sound, it will bring them back into the situation where they didn't feel safe. That's also detoxification. We need to clear it so system can heal.
And how specifically for him with the needles, what does that look like?
So when his son came, because we also offer IV treatments, anybody who joins, because they are so nutritionally deficient and we don't want to wait for months until oral supplementation will overcome this deficiency. So we give them IV nutrition. He came and my staff sat with him, with his son, and he was doing breath work, almost like meditation. So it could be happening, that treatment will be beneficial. So we should be thinking about everything around. So when we are providing treatments, it should be in a very specific environment. And we don't want these treatments to be negative. Because once it imprints, the next treatment is stressful as well. And treatment after that is stressful, as we call it white coat syndrome. So my staff are uniform. Nobody wears white coat. If I see patients, I wear white suit. So there is no coat. And I change clothing often. So there is no trigger that has been already recorded. So it's very specific how this needs to be addressed. And of course, a lot of trauma, it's from childhood or from parents that gets imprinted and gets translated into the child. It is very interesting. It's amazing. So talking about detoxification, understanding the system and what needs to happen, addressing the all excretory organs, which you already listed, making and providing everything necessary to improve the detox process, we are already cleaning. I didn't want to use anything to actually detox. I didn't use, for example, anything, an item to remove heavy metals, for example. All I did, I just opened doors. One body knows how to do it by itself, it's going to clean. So it's less burden on a system itself. Once I understand there is emotional trigger, guiding patient through safety, and we already addressed that as well, but it's very specific process.
Why is it so important to focus on the detoxification before we start adding nutrients or treatments? Does that have to happen in advance of any supplementation that you mentioned?
So I do it all at the same time. So when patient come for I create program, and program is specific to each individual patient. There are no two programs that exactly the same, and they're not even similar because everybody else's needs are very different to address appropriately. In order to start adding more nutrients, we need to make sure the excretory system is working. Don't forget, if we are adding nutrients and people's detox system, excretory system is not activated, you're adding more nutrients, but if they cannot utilize it for energy, it becomes toxic. So we do everything the same time. We don't allow much break in between. We start with nutritional supplementation and IV supplementation because we know they are deficient. And when they come for IV services, there is a bag that's, depositing bag and a bag that detoxing bag. Depending on toxic load of the patient, we either detox first, open the doors and the windows, and then deposit. It's very different. It's very specific.
Many people think that a detox means like a green juice or a few extra vitamins. How do you define this detoxification clinically?
Well, this is, in order to do it right, it's a systemic approach. As I told you now, a little bit earlier, we need to understand what's causing toxicity, what is causing it, which organs are affected, and we start regulating. When somebody is doing green juice, firstly, let me explain this to you. What's the biggest item in a green juice? What do they use? You tell me.
Like kale or some sort of leafy green.
They use celery most of the time.
Celery.
So in Chinese medicine, leafy greens and celery extremely cold energetically. It's energy cold. So in a system that's already having hard time of cleaning up and you're adding something cold, it's really not so beneficial. Plus, all of these cold items, they are very harsh on digestive tract. When patients come and I start asking them questions and they do tell me, oh, I'm like health conscious, I do ABCD in the morning, la, 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 la. And they tell me exactly what they do. So my question to them is, okay, so you did this green juice in the morning on empty stomach most of the time. That's how they do it. How do you feel? Oh, I'm a little sluggish for an hour or two. I'm also bloated most of the time. I was like, okay, so what does it tell you? She's like, oh, I don't know. Probably nothing. You see biggest disconnect. Now your body is telling you the symptom is you're not doing so well. Why do you continue? So if you're eating something and it's doing this, you should not be doing it. So there's all specific ways how to balance of energy. So this energy is appropriate to your body. So it doesn't cause any harm. And lots of times people do green juices and they have diarrhea. Another signal that system is saying, you know what, it's not working for me. Don't do it. In our system of elimination, everything is important. Our urination, the kidneys is very important. How urine is coming out, what's kidney function, what is that function is like, EGFR, how are they filtering proteins and nutrients, like it's specific markers we look at. Ability of patient to sweat. Not everybody is able to sweat. Some people don't sweat. And they think, oh, I don't sweat. It's not a problem. It's actually a big problem because now your system of elimination that is in your skin is not able to excrete. You need to be able to excrete. Too much sweating, not sweating enough. It's two big problems. So we need to regulate. For people who sweat too much, most of the time it's their nervous system is involved and they're overly stimulated. We need to bring it down so they don't sweat all the minerals out. For people who don't sweat, we already know there's thermoregulation is not happening. They're not regulating temperature. So it's very important function of the system to regulate temperature. So inside, we are at safe temperature. Usually I see patients who don't sweat. It's usually people with very chronic thyroid issues. So regulate thyroid and they will be able to sweat again. It's important. Without sweating, it's not great. So in system of digestive system for elimination, the bowel movement, what is transitional time? You ate. How long after you eat, you go to the bathroom? I hear two different things. People say, oh, I have no problem like that. I just eliminate. And I ask them question, can you explain to me how often you ate, then what? So it's either people chronically constipated, which they go to the bathroom every 3-4 days or once a week, or they go to the bathroom 3-4 times a day. Another problem. So if your digestive tract works appropriately, you should not be ejecting your nutrients you ate every 3-4 hours. Because are you able to get the nutrients out of food? So both ways are not okay. And we need to regulate it because it is so important by regulating the system, just system of elimination, detoxification. That's how we stay young. This is how we stay healthy. And again, you can give patients great nutrients, supplements and all of that, if they do not eliminate, if they don't empty their bowel on regular basis, and, yes, and not emptying it enough, like people go to the bathroom and they don't feel like they have emptied their bowel. Something is remaining. So whatever remains in the bowel actually causes more toxicity. If you have a person that constantly constipated, goes to the bathroom every 3, 4 days, the odor changes because the stool inside becomes more toxic. So we have to regulate it. And it's so important. When patients come and I also ask them question, if you urinate, how does it look? Oh, just like a urine. I was like, what about smell? What about color? What about foam? Rarely people pay attention. I have a gentleman with chronic kidney problem, and he's with me for more than 2 years. And what we've seen, and I taught him this, I was like, we need to be able to assess your urine to understand the kidney function even before you do blood work. Of course, he does it regularly, but you can't do it every month, right? So urine becomes more foamy when there is no proper filtering of nutrients and protein. So when protein seeps out, it's a lots of foam. You should see it's big, big bubbles, big, big bubbles. So I taught him to take pictures to compare so he can understand how his kidneys are functioning. More foam, not great. Less foam, let's keep doing what you're doing. It's very important in nutrition. So he understands what proteins his kidneys are okay with.
That is so interesting. And I think all of our listeners are going to start taking pictures of their.
It is important we need to know how our body's functioning. It is important. It's like when I start working with somebody, it's a lot of education. A lot of education, constant education, so they can understand, so they can connect with themselves, with their system. So our bodies is basically a suit of the soul. So if your body is not in proper place, where your soul gonna be? Is the soul happy, healthy, and buoyant inside? To have, as people say, am I comfortable with myself? What exactly are you saying? What does it mean? Am I in harmony of myself, with myself? That's what it means. In harmony with myself. Are you talking about your physiological self or subconscious self or your higher self? Which self are you talking about?
I love that. It's almost like you mentioned your soul living kind of inside the body. It's like almost living. You remember the show Hoarders on TV? It's
Yes.
like the soul is living in like a hoarder house with all of these toxins, and it's so overloaded with all of just this angst. Whether you mentioned it's emotional or actually physiological. Why are our bodies so overloaded today compared to perhaps even 20 years ago?
Yeah, so environment is very different right now. So it's not my fault, your fault, or a patient that comes to me fault. And I tell them first off, I say, it's not your fault. Environment is different. Life is different. The stressors, we have so much more stressors now, so many more stressors now. People are stressed on daily basis. People function on fight and flight response all the time. It's uncertainty that causes more problems. And then food is not so nutritious anymore. So if you think about this ideal situation would be, it's Adam and Eve, where they didn't need to work. They didn't need to wake up. As they say, if she would have had children, she wouldn't have pain, because pain is also a stressor and it also causes emotional trauma. If you think about it, right? They also, didn't need to think, is there food to eat? Because food is available. You'd reach out to fruit, it's on the tree, you take it, you eat it. Yes, of course, we learn to function, but there's also lots of adjustments we went through. As a species, it's a lots of adjustments. It's responsibilities, it's a family building, you're responsible for, your job, you have lots of things that you're doing. And yes, we're adjusting to amount of stress that we're going through, but we don't have proper supports. We don't have proper nutrition. And we also, our detox pathways, they change because they get tired. We get flooded with all of that, toxicities in our system. And lots of trauma. People go through trauma. We go through it all the time. But we don't clear. So we don't clear the traumatic experiences we have. So trauma itself and triggers from trauma, emotional trauma, are so important. And people not talking enough about that. Like if somebody's going through life and specific traumatic events, we need to clear them. When I used to work in New York, I've seen very interesting patient population. So women would come and I do energy work and I would examine them and I would tell them, I was like, listen, and I would tell them how it feels. I said, it feels to me that you're experiencing very specific traumatic event. And I would tell them, I was like, I've done this before. And what I've seen, if you don't clear this, it usually ends up with cancer of some sort. And for women, it's usually breast cancer on the left breast. And I had because your emotion connect, because supposedly that I guess your soul resides behind your heart.
That's the feminine side of the body, the left
Exactly.
side.
Exactly. It's your emotion. It's your emotion. So it's so interesting because I had quite a few patients. If they would not be able to clear it 8 months to a year from this conversation, they would be diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's so important. It has to be part of everything that we do, a part of the healthy living. So we have to clear everything, keep the body healthy, plus make sure that internally, emotionally, we are healthy too. So we can recover. Everybody should be taking a day of work and responsibilities just to recoup. Do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. Watch a movie, go out, go to the zoo, interact with animals, your friends. Like this is so important so you can rebalance yourself.
And here's the other thing. And then we feel like even when we do take a day off, we feel guilt for doing that because society is conditioned to always be doing something. And if you're not being productive or checking something off a list, you're failing in some way. And then that kind of feeds into that whole emotional stress cycle. And we're on this hamster wheel that we can't get off of.
That's absolutely true. A few years ago, my oldest daughter tells me, she's like, Ma, if I take a day off and I do nothing, I feel guilty. I was like, what did I do to my kids? What did I do to my kid? Because we came to this country, me, my husband, I had 2 children already. We came as refugees. So we had to work very hard for everything that we have. Work, school, career, learning language. And I was like, what did I teach my child? So she's an overachiever. And now she's so much older. And I'm asking her, like, have a personal day. It is important. I'm trying to teach her. For us, it was necessity. We were growing here as new people in United States of America. We just came into the country. It's so important. We do so much and we did so much. But they grew here. They grew up here. She doesn't need to have so much stress and having this feeling of guilt.
Right. The guilt part. I mean, truly, it's like you can't even relax or feel good relaxing because that makes you feel guilty about not doing what you think you're supposed to be doing.
Well, recovering, it's our responsibility. We should give ourselves time to recover. And now I'm so much older and I'm so much wiser and I know what happens when you're not. I take my relaxation days and I do whatever makes me happy. Maybe read a book, maybe go to a club. I have friends in dance club. We dance together. It's a lot of fun. It's something that makes you happy.
I love. What kind of dance do you do?
It's a social dance.
Uh-huh.
It's all of that. So salsa, cha-cha, mambo. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Just be silly, Make mistakes on the floor. Laugh at yourself.
Oh, I love that. That is so much fun. I take ballroom dance lessons too. So when I come down to Florida, we'll have to go dancing together.
Definitely. What's your
And
favorite?
take our break and not feel bad about it.
You should work at that. Trust me. You need to just, do what makes you happy. That's the most important thing. Do what makes you truly happy. So for me, yeah, it's important for everybody. But when you do what you love at work, it's never work. I go to work and I'm excited. I can help people change their lives, transform their well-being, and it changes everything around them. So what I do really doesn't stress me, so I don't need all that much. But still, it's good to do things just for you. Beneficial. You should do. So what's your favorite dance? Which one do you like?
Absolutely. Well, I grew up doing tap, ballet, jazz. So I was classically trained. I majored in dance in college, but have always been in love with watching Dancing with the Stars. And if you ever watched that show,
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Are you watching this season?
No, I'm not doing it this year. I have other things that I'm doing, but
Okay. It's really good this year. Last season, not so good, but this season, everyone is fantastic. And so if you get a chance to watch on Hulu later, you definitely should. I think you would enjoy it. But Max and Val Shmerkovsky, 2 of the pros on that show, they have a ballroom dance studio here. It's called Dance With Me. So I started taking dance classes and thinking, I danced for 30 some years of my life. How difficult can it be?
It's very different.
Oh my goodness. That was a humbling, rude awakening. I mean, my hips were having to go the different way than my rib cage. And I was just like, I felt like it was my first day in front of a mirror in a dance studio. It was quite a humbling experience, but you finally get you get the rhythm. But yeah, it definitely took a minute, and a lot of it is very counterintuitive to how I think classically trained dancers move, even the way your foot leads and the way the leg turns and things like that. So it's been very interesting but really fun. And
It's actually
also
yes.
and also being raised as an individual, a solo dancer, and then having to have someone lead you and kind of allowing yourself to surrender to that
Yep.
has also been not only an interesting dance lesson, but a life lesson as well. So
It is very beneficial because as women in this society, we become very strong. And that strength translates into your personal life as well. But in relationship, there is an ability to give up this control, which is very important because if you have a a partner in your life that can lead you through our feminine energy, we have to let them take that control. So when I start taking the lessons, of course, it just was funny. I started recording. I was like, oh my God, that's really interesting. So I laughed a lot with my partner. And I was like, I forgot. I forgot that I was almost a woman. I forgot because you would start dancing. He's like, you leading me. Can I just lead you, please?
and you're like, what does that even mean?
No, I learned. I learned. I just let him. It has to do with trust because you have to
It does.
trust. You have to. So in work that I do with patients, there is a process, and of course they need to trust the process. The same thing. You either do what you learn to do, and you whatever you did for all your life, which caused where within a place where you became, or just resonance and the body is not working all that great. They have to trust this process, and they have to give up the control, allowing me and my team guide them. So this is very, very important. And we constantly tell them, like, guys, you need to trust this process. It's gonna take some time. It took you about 20 some years to end up in the place you are. So you need to allow us guide you to the place of healing. Because if somebody's stagnant and not trainable, how can you, and not coachable, how can you? So it's their job. And we discuss it in first day. And I tell them, are you trainable? Are you coachable? I ask them. There is a way that you have to allow us to lead you.
And then sometimes, because there perhaps might be so much mistrust, we have to work on allowing or letting the patient even feel safe enough to say, okay, and I will kind of surrender and listen and be coached by what you have to say, because that might even bring them to a place of dysregulation and non-safety too. So there's so many layers to peel back.
It is very interesting, but once we start interacting in the healing way, you see how they changing. The changes are amazing. It's just they become a different people. The body can repair. Emotionally, they get more relaxed. They understand that the body is actually now and the system as a whole is restoring. And this is amazing transformation.
It really is. And inside, outside, a complete life transformation. It's not just, oh, we're getting rid of toxins and putting, the good stuff in. It is a whole head to toe, inside to outside, like metaphysical before and after. We talked a lot about the emotional kind of components that lead to the toxicity, but what perhaps might be some other hidden toxins that you see in your patients, and how do they show up in the body?
So toxins show up as anything. So emotional toxicity we already discussed, but somebody that wakes up already tired, they cannot last entire day. They might have skin lesions like eczema, psoriasis, acne on the back. They're toxic. That's why this elimination system that's not working properly, now eliminating this way. So when we have somebody with acne on the face and acne on the back, we understand it's a gut issue. So face itself, you can break it up in specific parts and understand which system doesn't work. Like if a woman has acne here, we know it's all hormonal. Yep. Usually women before their menstrual period starts and they start breaking out. So what we see in the beginning when we start detoxification, sometime skin gets worse for a little bit because you push. Yes, you're purging everything. You're pushing everything. And once it actually starts moving out, everything clears out. The skin changes, it glows, it gets tighter, all the acne goes away, psoriasis goes away. So psoriasis and skin lesions by themselves, it's a lot of time parasitic infestation plus the emotional triggers. So we have to do them in combination. When I know I can coach patients and do it by myself, I do it. When I know it's better for them to work with a psychologist, I refer them to psychologist. So I understand what's doable, what I can do, and what I can have challenges with. I always try. Let's see how it's going to be. Also for skin lesions, and again, we see anything on the skin, it's your health inside. When patients go and see aesthetic specialist, which I used to do aesthetic treatments more than enough, I did it for so many years, I understood very important point. Your beauty is not from outside in, it's from inside out. If you want to affect the skin, it's not from outside in. It's inside out first. So when people come and they say, oh, I have these and these issues, my bowel is not so great, and I'm going for laser treatment for my skin, I highly suggest for them, why don't you just pause your laser treatment for your skin now? And let's, concentrate on your skin from inside out, clean your bowel, make sure your detox system working, lymphatic system working, that you can sweat and eliminate, and let's see what's going to be. And then you do your laser treatment. Most of the time, they don't need a laser treatment after that.
And if you do it, it's almost like a waste of the investment of money, because you might look better for a little bit, but it's going to revert back as the skin consistently turns over and the cells, right, turn over themselves.
Exactly. So we need to do everything possible for fast cell turnover so we change the cells. So I'm not very shy. When my patients ask me what my age is, I tell them. I don't hide anything. I was like, listen, if you want to present a certain way, you need to do certain work. And what I do with my patients, I do with myself. I do it too. It's constant work. If somebody says, you know what, I just want to do this for the 6 months and then forget about it, you're not right patient and you don't understand this process correctly. Because being well, it's a lifelong
journey.
it's not it's not for 6 months and you're not doing it anymore. We teach you, we guide you, but then you have to follow. You need to do these things. Eat right. Even if you're having fun sometimes, eat whatever. Then what do you do to bring your system to balance? You can't just constantly, toxins. Whatever we fix, it will break eventually, right? Because you're not so gentle to your system. You know what's interesting? Somehow people value buying expensive car and taking care of expensive car. Lamborghini, for example, Porsche. They understand the value. They understand that they need to bring this car for tune-up every so often.
They have
But
to put the expensive gas in it.
Exactly. Proper gas. You don't put super, you put something else, you know what happens. You need to put a certain grade. But when it comes to themselves, they need to be educated. If you want your body to work as a well-oiled machine, right thoughts, right fuel, right? In the car, we have exhaust. What is this exhaust? It's byproduct, your elimination system. You see, now I'm speaking in the language how I speak to guys because that's what they understand.
The analogies make sense, right?
So it is the same thing. What you deposit, this is what you're going to get at the end result. If you eat certain way, you don't sleep, you do not allow your body to recover, your body will feel certain way. And that's just that.
That's just such a wonderful way to explain it and to help make it make sense for patients who otherwise, we almost take our bodies for granted sometimes.
Exactly.
Because we have it.
Yes.
And it works, and then it's not working, and it's like, well, I never had to do something special before, but was that working for you before? Okay, so last time we talked a lot about covering up symptoms with medication and how that is a short-term solution for actually addressing what's going on internally and like the root cause of what's happening inside the body. What is the most surprising or out there root cause that you've ever uncovered during the remove phase?
Nothing surprises me anymore. I do it for a while, so not many things surprise me.
You're like,
Really.
I've heard everything. I've seen everything.
More or less everything. I will tell you what's very interesting, how emotional trauma, what it can cause. That can cause a lot of things. And you think you know almost everything and you heard almost everything, and sometimes it just comes out and you're surprised to hear that because our mind can loop certain things certain way and it records in the system very differently and then can show itself very specific. It's very interesting. So when I do the first process, the why process, when we do blood work, the functional analysis that we have, it actually shows patients the how the organs functioning in percentage and what's health risks they have in percentage. So I've seen patients having all different things. Plus, it shows you in sense of pathogens, like it shows you parasitic infestations. I just recently seen a patient. She came to me for fertility. She wanted to restore her fertility. She's 42 years old, also menopausal already, and she doesn't understand why at that age. So when we did a blood work in percentage, she's poor thing, so eaten by parasites, it's 100% parasitic infestation. So if you spend all this energy into feeding those, what's left for you for reproduction? And I told her, it's like, you can do nothing. It's up to you. Or we can change something about it. You're definitely not going to die tomorrow because parasites are smart. They want you to survive. So you can keep feeding them. Yes, absolutely. They're extremely smart. And it's extremely
They're not trying to kill you. They want you to be alive so that they can reap the benefit.
exactly.
Wow.
It is symbiotic relationship.
Yep.
Symbiosis. It's so important. So they can live on your tab, eating off of you, so you're alive. And it's so interesting. So when she came and when I examined her, I told her she's a yoga instructor, a beautiful woman. And I said, I do not know what it is, but your energy is just in your chest. You don't have energy in your reproductive organs and not even your limbs. It's very interesting. I told her, let's do blood work and we'll understand what's eating you up because that's what it is. Nothing is left. Nothing. And when blood work came and I showed her this interpretation, she started crying. So yes, we can improve everything. And again, parasitic infestation, and it's not just in digestive tract, they're everywhere. And I told her it's a very specific game we need to play. We need to, again, your excretory system, we have to make sure everything works because once we want to excrete them or start excreting them, you want to make sure that there is ability of the body to remove those things. Yes, while we're removing, they're laying more eggs because they're so smart. We also need to support the system. So what we do in the beginning, we support the system first, start eliminating process, make sure they're able to do that. And like on month 3, 4, maybe 4, 5, start bringing out the parasites. And each person has one. There's probably a dozen of different kinds they have.
How does that elimination process go? What tools and treatments do you do to facilitate that?
So I do a lot of different things for lymph, kidneys, and liver. Skin by itself, it turns up just because skin is very specific organ. If your thyroid works, it just starts working by itself. So it's like a puzzle. Start putting pieces. So I use supplements, items in their daily regimen, plus sauna, plus reduction of the exercise, for example. So she is active exerciser. I understand it's her job, but to look at her body composition, very little adipose tissue. For female to reproduce, we need adipose tissue because that adipose tissue creates estrogen. So you cannot be absolutely dry. If you're very dry, just muscle and skin, ability to conceive already reduced because you don't have proper amount of estrogen. And that's before we did blood work. We didn't do blood work yet. It's just assessment. Looking at the body and understanding. It is very specific. And I told her, I was like, how much exercise do you do? Like, put the watch and count your steps. She told me 17,000 steps a day. About? I said, you know what? It's a little excessive. It's excessive. Why don't you reduce, just reduce and stop at the place where you feel great? Because she was complaining of hot flashes. She's like, I'm having hot flashes and all of that. I was like, reduce. Let's see how it's going to be. When she came back, she said, you know what? I did exactly what you said. So her hot flashes reduced. She feels so much more energy and she looks better. I didn't give her anything yet. See, we already started this journey after first appointment. It is so important. They need to understand. And that's why I spend so much time explaining it to them. Very, very important. So again, for women to reproduce, it's so much more work. And people take that for granted. We are no longer in an era when women getting pregnant right and left, which was about 40 years ago. It's becoming more and more challenging. So what do we do to help that?
Dr. Marina, you're so perceptive and intuitive. When you go to the grocery store and you see people walk in, can you stop? Do you think to yourself like, oh my gosh, this one is this and this one is that way, and you just want to get a hand on everybody and fix them because you were just so perceptive in that way?
So when I started using energy, it was, you start seeing it and feeling it. It gets very bothersome. It gets very overwhelming. So it took me a while to learn how to kind of, close it and use it when it's necessary for benefit. Firstly, energy work, it's only beneficial when it's asked for. Yes, I've used it a lot and for many years. And firstly, it was more like learning. Let me see what I see, how it feels, what it means, and all of that. But in order for people to benefit from this work, they need to ask for it. They need to show interest. In the beginning, when I started working and doing this work, using energy, I addressed people and I said, you know what? I see you have A, B, C, D, and F. Let me help you. And a lot of time was, oh, I don't feel any of that. I'm fine. So that was my time understanding that it's not right time for them. We need to wait until they're ready. And when they come, and this is where you give it to them. So I learned a lot, even how to hold back, because that emotional connection, you offering help and they're saying, excuse me, what you're talking about, it also works very specific on your emotional level. So I went through all of this training by myself. It's okay.
And then it can even deplete your system, right? So learning those boundaries to not
So yes,
absorb or even try to give too much, even though you see, oh, I have this tool that can help you, but it's only for when it's come to you instead of the other way around. That's so
exactly.
interesting.
You have to wait, and I wait, and I'm patient, and it's okay. If it's my children and they're young, I can always, you know what, A, B, C, D, and F. My husband doesn't already, he tells me, just tell me what to do, when to take it. That's that. Because it's trust. We know each other for so many years. We're together. He basically went along with me all this journey where I learned to do this. He's like, just tell me what to do, when to do it. I'm fine. All my kids are the
We
same.
love that. We love a husband that does
It
what
took
we say. I
years,
love that.
because he saw it. He saw all of this. And then my children, older children and grandchildren, when my grandchildren get sick, my kids reach out to me for help. And it's my family, it's my priority. Of course, and I tell them A, B, C, D, and F, and needs to happen or not. About 2 months ago, my daughter-in-law got really nervous because my granddaughter didn't feel well. She was brought from daycare, and daycare teacher relayed a message that she was hot when she was woke up, and most probably she's ill. Maybe she needs to be taken to the doctor. So my daughter-in-law called me. She's like, I do not know what is going on here. I'm very upset because she sounds like she's getting sick a lot because she just got better 3 weeks ago and now it's this. What can we do? I looked at her and I simply said, you know what? I'm not seeing anything. Honestly, her ears are fine. Her throat is fine. Her stomach is fine. Give her some time. Maybe she was just hot. Maybe blanket was too thick and heavy when she was sleeping. So when she woke up, she was a little bit hot. And either way, system usually can overcome almost anything and everything if you give it appropriate attention. But you know what happens when mother's heart? You worry for your child. I just calmed her down, and her daughter was absolutely fine. Nothing was wrong with her. She was just hot. That's that. Peace of mind for her and for her child.
All right, so let's circle back to actually removing the toxins. Walk us through your process of removing them safely. I know we talked about supplementation, but what else does that look like, and how do you determine kind of what needs to be cleared from the body and in what order that happens?
So everybody is different. If I understand through blood work and the way people feeling, if I understand the thyroid is not working, we're going to have to optimize thyroid function, because thyroid is linked to your lymphatic system and how your lymph is moving, as well as your cardiovascular system, as well as your skin elimination. So nutrition for thyroid, specific nutrition for liver. So hormones can convert, the thyroid hormones can convert it to active form to activate all the processes, plus process of sweating. Dry brushing is wonderful. Sauna is wonderful. Coffee enema is wonderful. Like all of these things, liver is a detox queen in a system, but it's not the only organ. We have to do everything. So I use specific compounds for specific patients, depending what works for whom. When anybody does energy work, there is a way you feel what works or doesn't. So you avoid the clutter. So you're not prescribing something for the patient that would clutter out their system. It's very different. It's a very different approach. And I tell my patients, the way I'm going to compose your program, it will be what resonates with you. Has nothing to do with me. I'm just an instrument. I'm using what I have so you can benefit. So it's very precise. The dosage is precise. Everything is very precise. Of course, everybody's system is different and takes some adjustment. And we make these adjustments and it is fine. So detox is very specific. We start with eliminating of what people are eating that's not servicing them, that causes inflammation. That's why every patient has specifically designed for them dietary modification sheet. So all the items they eat, they're right on it. They're listed. How to combine foods is very specific way. Everybody's eating. I don't have anybody who's going fasting unless I ask them for insulin resistant. There is some people that I can ask, can you please fast every other week for 16 hours, for example? Like skip a breakfast or something. I'm not much for, don't eat at all because it also causes stress in the system. So our system does best when we are in abundance, an abundance of nutrition, not when we are in deficit. So it is very specific, depending on what they need and what organs go first. Usually, if I see the thyroid needs to be addressed, thyroid and liver gets addressed all the time first. You don't wait. And again, I would like to pay your attention that when we have seasons changing, the system has to be addressed appropriately and they should be eating appropriate food for that season. In New York, because you have seasons. In Florida, we don't have seasons. Like pumpkin, usually for fall, not for summer. See, potato is not for summer, it's for fall.
Oh, I like potatoes all year round.
But potato is a seasonal vegetable. It's actually fall vegetable. It's not a summer vegetable because it's too hot. It takes too much energy to digest the potato.
Oh man, okay, I need to work on my French fry intake in the summer. Oh my goodness. All right. So in order to determine whether it's the thyroid, the liver, what kind of testing do? We mentioned blood work or data. Are you kind of relying on to uncover that? And are there things that even our listeners at home could start doing right away to lighten that load? It's obviously not like a turnkey, one solution fixes the whole system kind of a deal. But are there like at-home things that people can start doing?
Absolutely. So, things number one that doesn't cost anything. Everybody should regulate their sleep and sleep cycle. Your circadian rhythm is very important. It costs you nothing. You can fix it by yourself. You have to, everybody, we are not nocturnal, right? We're supposed to sleep at night and wake up in the morning. See the light without eyeglasses. Don't be afraid of sunlight. Not to be afraid of sunlight. Sunlight is not what kills people. We need to let sun shine, not in the eye, through. So the rays hit a little bit of our cornea. It's very important because that's how we make hormones, melatonin, serotonin, like the light itself. We educate our patients how to have sleep hygiene. All our electronic devices. Yes, electronics everywhere. See, I'm talking to you. I'm also checking my messages at work. We work all the time now. This is also a problem. Having boundaries where you're at work and when you're home, when you're functioning as a provider and when you're functioning as a wife. Okay. Your self identity is also very important. What do you identify yourself with? Like, I had a patient that reached out and she's like, she had certain challenges. And I asked her, what's your identity? What do you identify with? And she told me, a yoga instructor. I was like, how could you? You're so much more than just that. You're not just a yoga instructor. You're a beautiful woman and you're a loved wife and all of those. We need to identify what is our identity. Who are we to ourselves, number one. And then who are we for everybody else, right? So vitamin D intake. Everybody should have certain level of vitamin D in their system. I'm not going to say go take certain supplement because not everybody going to benefit from every possible vitamin D available on the market because it's specific vitamin formulation to specific individual. And again, most of the pills that people take do not absorb and they don't convert because there is no absorption of the digestive tract. Sleeping, eating right food, resting, making sure you're eliminating. And again, for those people who are chronically constipated, they need to start monitoring transition time and do things to regulate their bowel functions. People can do a lot by themselves. Like, these are simple things that needs to be done to regulate the entire system to well-being.
All right, so sleep, very important. What we're putting in our body, very important. And these are things that are free that we can start doing at home. Obviously, it's the first step. And if you're experiencing any of these issues, definitely make an appointment, make a phone call to Dr. Marina. This has been so enlightening. I can't even tell you, we can't build a new solid foundation or even feel like the best version of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually without a foundation. If we have toxic, rickety kind of beams trying to hold us up, and today's conversation completely made that clear. Dr. Marina, Thank you so much again. I learned so much. I'm so excited for our next conversation. So, if this resonated with you and you want to find out what perhaps might be draining your energy, schedule your reveal and remove 5-hour consultation at the National Wellness Group in Boca Raton, Florida, or visit nationalwellnessgroup.com. And we will see you next time. Thank you, Dr. Marina.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Bye bye.